Welcome back to the Rugby Social. And in this video, I'm going to be taking a look back at the epic encounter between England and Ireland. And wow, what a game it was. I had to watch it twice just to take it all in. Probably the best Six Nations match I think I've seen since the Ireland France match last season, which was a real quality encounter. What a game. And just the fact the lead changed hands six times during that game. It was kind of nip and tuck all the way. And when we got to the final result, I guess I personally had some mixed emotions. It was fantastic to see England come up with their A+ game. The sort of performance that they've kind of saved for World Cup semi-finals over the last two tournaments, but equally completely gutted from an Irish perspective. To come so close to just carrying on with their march towards what would have been an historic back-to-back set of Grand Slams. Really disappointed that dream is over from an Irish perspective. But love to know what you think. Do you think England deserved that win? Were you surprised that they're able to, compete as well against Ireland as they did? And how gutted, if you're seeing it from an Irish perspective, were you that dream double back-to-back Grand Slam is over? I mean, the match got off to a fascinating start. It looked very much like standard Ireland. They chugged it up through the middle. Van der Fleer kind of making a break, winning a penalty, 3 points up after a couple of minutes. But then England came storming back with some real quality attacking. And it was really amazing to see how quickly their backline got into the right formation to score that great team try for Ollie Lawrence. And then, I think England really started to rattle Ireland. They were putting on a lot of pressure, very quick to the breakdowns, making some real good disruption at the rucks and just getting ball in hand and hitting some sort of devastating lines and really sort of motoring up the field. But like true quality teams do, although they've been on the rack for what seemed like most of the first half, Ireland managed to forge a 12-8 lead at half time, with some great kicking from Crowley and just by, I guess, composure and just being there, collecting the points when they could. Half time, Ireland up. And personally, I thought, that's Ireland going to march on and win that game. And that feeling that I had was even more reinforced not long after the half time where James Lowe came in, scored that try in the corner, took Ireland to a 17-8 lead. And I really did think that was going to be the point where perhaps England would fold and sort of just acquiesced the rest of the game. But interestingly, that time Crowley missed the conversion. And England, quick as you like, were back in the game with another nicely worked try, bringing Furbank in for his second try in 2 games. And I think that Furbank versus Stewart debate is going to rage on. Furbank brings some lovely attacking qualities, perhaps a mistake or two in there, but Stewart, for so long the steady man of the English back three, maybe things have moved on. England carried on with their attacking performances. Ben Earl was making some great yardage, beating defenders, really surging through, and it was like his attacking prowess that really resulted in Peter Mahony having to give away that penalty, which resulted in a sin bin just to slow England down. And as it was, England kind of finished up getting a try off the back of that anyway and taking the lead. But what was really interesting for me is then Ireland really started to come back into it. And for that last sort of 5 minutes or so of that sin bin, Ireland looked like the team that were in control. And I thought they were, again, going to do some damage, even though they were down to 14. I think things we probably do need to acknowledge on the day. Obviously, there was a lot of disruptions to Ireland's backline with Nash going off so early in the build-up to the first try for England. That pushed, I think, Hugo Keenan out onto the wing. And one of the things I've always loved about the Irish play over the last few seasons is just the way Keenan can pop up anywhere in that back line, hit a cutting line and make some great yardages. And then obviously Ireland were plunged into a little bit more disruption with Frawley having to go off with a head injury. And again, having to really mix things up. Conor Murray coming on, and this time Gibson Park being pushed out to the wing. So again, I think Ireland lost a little bit of their snappiness there, just with how quick Gibson Park is getting the ball sort of through phases and out of the rucks. But yeah, England surged on. But Ireland came back again, miraculously. And James Lowe again in the corner. Beautiful try, really well worked. really exposed England. Ireland took the lead again. And again, I thought, this is Ireland's day. They're going to go on. They're going to maintain that run up to the Grand Slam. But although it was a very tough kick for Crowley, he didn't make it, and that left it as a 2-point game. And I think that 2-point game really is what gave England their incentive to keep pushing forward. Obviously, a lot of bodies had changed at that point. You had the likes of Theo Dannon, who was also pretty devastating with ball in hand. And England sort of worked their way up the pitch and maintained possession and their accuracy, and I guess just ability to not make mistakes and not give away penalties, and really surged up the field in a way we've not seen them do for a long time. I think they went through something like 12 or 14 phases in that run up to eventually getting that winning drop goal. And again, I guess from an Irish perspective, uncharacteristic to see Ireland make so many handling errors, but also uncharacteristic to see them give away a couple of penalties. Whilst that penalty was given on that far right-hand side, I think that was a pretty difficult kick. But as England maintained their momentum and got another penalty sort of just to the left of the posts, unfortunately from an Irish perspective, but great from an English perspective, that was game over. Marcus Smith knocking that drop goal over, which never heard Twickenham as loud as it was when that went over. But yeah, and that was the end of an epic encounter. Obviously, England jubilant with their performance and that victory. You could tell there was a lot of pent up emotion in that kind of poured out onto that pitch in a way that it hasn't really for England for quite some time. And Ireland obviously dejected, gutted that they weren't able to maintain that winning streak and weren't able to break the record of the most consecutive Six Nation wins either. They're stuck on 11 like England were a few years ago. But I do have to say, I thought both Andy Farrell and Peter O'Mahony spoke so well in the press conference afterwards. A lot of dignity there, a lot of respect for their opponents, and I think really sort of shows the measure of the men and the measure of the team. And again, do let me know what you think. Did you enjoy that match? I can only assume you did, but please let me know. And who do you think was man of the match? Was it Benno? I mean, for me, he had an epic performance, but equally, I think the changes that England made at second row by bringing George Martin in, pushing Ollie Chesham to blindside made a massive difference as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. Whilst you're there, please do like and subscribe. I absolutely love talking about rugby. I hope you do too. So any support you're willing to give will be gratefully received. And after the game, I sort of poured over the stats for the match, and it was really interesting. It felt like on the day and during the game, England were in the ascendancies, and the stats, whilst reflected that in some areas, not in others. I mean, England, I think, sort of kind of had twice as many meters gained as Ireland. But Ireland's kicking, as ever, was magnificent, and they kind of had twice as many meters kicked as England. And James Lowe, I thought, had another great game. His left boot is just miraculous. He just exits so well for Ireland, gets them up the pitch so far. So that was interesting. I think uncharacteristically, there was quite a lot of handling errors for Ireland on the day. Normally, that's something that's reserved for England. They like to have their handling errors, but it was a little bit of a switch around there. But from a discipline point of view, I think it was something like only 8 penalties that Ireland conceded. So, it was a real tough test match. Really, the commitment from both teams was amazing. The atmosphere at the ground seemed amazing. One major surprise there. I mean, I certainly, for one, was shocked England won that game. I think I was predicting Ireland by 10, but maybe without the bonus point, which obviously on the day turned out to be true. They'd only got the 2 tries. But yeah, absolutely loved it. Hope you enjoyed the game too. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.